Slick and Shiny tongue-in-cheek productions once more gives us a look at those days of yesteryear in Wilpen, Pennsylvania. We have a number of things to say. We go to a working day when these guys had a little bit of time off to get their picture taken, and we see that they were using horses and mules to haul the coal around. Horses and mules back here. Also, they were using these things. This is called a dinky. It was a little steam locomotive. They also had electric locomotives. They were generating electricity at that mine. And the electric locomotives would be going into the mine because they didn't produce any smoke like the dinky would. That's a dinky. They called it a dinky because it was small. It was a tank engine. You see, it had the great big saddle tank up over the boiler. But it was called a dinky to compare it to the big one. This was the big locomotives that went back and forth between the main line at Latrobe and Wilpen to enable the coal and coke that they dug at Wilpen to become a viable product on the market. Because if you just dig coal up in Wilpen, you really can't do that much with it unless you want to sell it to a few farmers up there. But to make it actually sell, you've got to get it out of there. The Ligonier Valley Railroad was what was running this, and they were Pittsburgh people, as was Will Snyder, who ran the mine up at Wilpen. And they likely made a deal with the Mellons to run a branch line up to Wilpen, because the Mellons usually didn't do things out of the goodness of their heart. They knew it would help to increase the freight market that they were running there. This red line is the main line, and that's really where you had to get your product to make it economically viable. And to do that, the Ligonier Valley Railroad ran between Ligonier and into Latrobe, and they built this special branch up to Wilpen so Will Snyder could market his coal and get the coke to his blast furnaces. This short railroad also functioned as a transition between down in Somerset. This line came from down in Somerset and came up to Ligonier, brought a lot of wood, timber that was harvested out that way. More products to get the things out to the main line. Now the trains, unfortunately, didn't always stay on the tracks. This is one day around 1912 when things went wrong. And that's what happens when one of those nice big machines comes off the track. It's not nice to see a big engine like that just basically trashed. And we're going to have a little bit of video after this where a local person from up in Wilpen, Angie O'Brien, is going to show us around the area. And so we even talk about where this wreck happened. The area. This is Wilpen and surroundings in the 1920s. This is the center of the operation at Wilpen. There were coke ovens. These are the coke ovens. Here was a mine entrance here, mine entrance here. The miners lived in these areas around here. Angie O'Brien is going to bring us in on her video up this way. She'll come out this way and show us out toward Marietta. There was a mine out here too, and out that way, and then back up this way. She'll come past the church and the dance hall and the patch up here where the miners lived, and some of the coke ovens, and she'll come back down and give you a look at the area that was once a very viable mining community. At one point, there were more than 200 people working in the mine at Wilpen. It ran until about 1945, and the mine shut down, and they continued to make coke there until the early 50s from coal that was strip mined locally. I'm going to shut this down, and Angie is going to conduct you.
If you take 711 North and a left onto Wilpen Road, you'll come to the bottom of the hill here at the McVicker farm. This is really close to the 1911 train wreck that happened near the Ligonier Camp and Conference Center. The train used to run out in the distance back there where the telephone poles are. There are also several rows of beehive coke ovens that aren't visible until winter when the weeds die down. Further up the road, if you take your first left onto Marietta Road, and then the immediate left onto Tosh Road, you can see one of the mine entrances. Tosh Road didn't exist on the 1857 map, but on the 1876 map it was built, and I assume they started mining it right away. These are the maps showing a before and after of it being built. The mining entrance is circled and is just behind the brush, halfway up Tosh Road on the left. Here's the hills that they strip mined. Turning around, looking back towards Marietta Road, we'll travel back and make a left back onto Wilpen Road. One of the first houses that you see holds a historical plaque. I'm not exactly sure which house it is on the map, but I underlined my best guess in red. Wilpen is yellow and Marietta is green. Here is a church just up the street on the left of Wilpen Road. Not too far up Wilpen Road from there is the dance hall. There's some interesting stories that came out of that place. There's an old barn up there too. This was the company store, which is right next door to the fire station. Next to the fire station once stood the hotel. It's since been razed. Left past the fire station on Calvary Avenue are what we call the patch houses. These were very near the coke ovens and the rail lines, pictured here in the 40s. Next you'll see what was the company office. If you were to take a left past here and go down Ruth Lane, there are more coke ovens back that way. Here is Dennis Sweeney's sob shop, which is the old schoolhouse since converted. Crossing the street from the schoolhouse, you will find the row houses. Here they are in the 40s, and again in 2017. We'll go up the road and come down the other direction. The brick house was built in the 1800s, the rest in the row around 1910. There's a lovely photo of these that hangs in the Darlington Museum near Idlewild. It was taken from the rear at St. Anne's Church, where the original Wilpen Cemetery is located. Most of these houses still have functioning water pumps located between them. Here is the photo from the museum, and a view from the back porch of me showing you where the rail line came through. Further up Wilpen Road on the left, you'll find Coke Oven Road. If you travel to the top, you will see this abandoned mine building and the coke ovens that stopped operation in 1930. Here is a picture of one I took from Ruth Lane. They stopped operation in 1950. Here is a photo of the ones on Ruth Lane in operation, and some photos I had taken and laid over with some photos I found online that are from the Batten Coal Company in 1910. I had a good time putting this together. I really hope it helps. Good luck on your video, Gem.